Good morning. It is 9:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand, and I got to start the show today by saying thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be on this radio station and in your cars and in your homes and a part of your daily routine for 1 year. Today is my 1 year anniversary since joining Super Talk 99.7 WTN here and as a host in this capacity. You know, a lot of people know I did some producing work before and some imaging and some things, but it's been 1 year. It's been 1 year. I don't know how we did it. I don't know how we did it.
Yeah, you, the most controversial person on this station, for sure.
Do you think I'm the most controversial?
No, not at all.
Okay. I mean, listen, I want to just extend my deepest thanks to the entire listening audience for putting up with me for a year. I've worked at a lot of radio stations. I've never been a part of a radio station like this, with this group of people listening that are this cool, this awesome, and this smart. We really have a good job here. We have a good team, and I'm proud to be a part of it. I want to, just reaffirm to you kind of my goals here. I want to tell the truth, and I want to help break news, and I want to have conversations. I don't want this show to be an echo chamber. I understand I'm going to get things wrong, and I don't want to, but that's just the nature of the beast. And I want to also commit to you that when I do get things wrong, I'll be honest about it. I'll be open about it. If my mind changes, I'll tell you why it changed, and really just want to be as transparent as I can be for you, in my thought process and the stories that we cover and all that. And it was a year ago today that I had hit this studio after quite an ordeal. Did you ever hear the story of how I got here for my first show?
I don't think so.
Okay, so I was in West Palm Beach, Florida, at a Turning Point USA event with Turning Point Action. We're watching Donald Trump, and I'm there all weekend. I'm working. You know, I do stuff with Turning Point USA too.
Yeah.
So I'm working, and we're getting content. We're getting content with Tucker Carlson. We're doing all sorts of things behind the scenes. It's behind the scenes at Turning Point. And so right as we're all leaving the event and we're heading to the airport, a storm rolls through.
Ooh.
So we're in Florida, huge storm rolls through. My first show is the next day.
Oh, gosh.
So my flight gets delayed in Florida by about an hour and a half. No worries. I'm still going to make my connector.
Yeah.
I get to Atlanta, and I sit there, and I'm waiting. And at the last moment, they realize that the pilots aren't going to be able to have enough hours left in their day to complete the flight.
Oh, wow.
So I'm in Atlanta. So I then scramble. I scrambled to the car rental place, which everybody on my flight did.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
So then I waited in the car rental line for an hour and a half.
Jeez,
to try and get a rental. It's maybe 1 a.m. at this point in Atlanta. There's no car rental. And they've been promoting on Super Talk that it would be my first show for, a week and a half.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what the heck do I do? So I called an Uber.
Wow.
And I paid a few $100s for an Uber ride from Atlanta to Murfreesboro. And I got in Murfreesboro around, it was probably like 5:30 by the time I finally got there.
That's a long drive.
No sleep. The best part was I was editing audio in the Uber ride.
In the ride up.
And and the guy that was driving, he was an immigrant, legal, great guy. I can't remember his name. But I'm editing Tucker Carlson audio, and he said, who is that speaking? I said, well, that's Tucker Carlson. I've never heard anybody speak like this. Yeah, that's Tucker. So I red-pilled my Uber driver in that 4 hours from Atlanta to Murfreesboro. But then I got here, and I just got, again, I just want to say thank you to the audience, to the team here. I have been welcomed with open arms, and I really appreciate everything that this station has allowed me to do, everything that you guys have brought to the show. I always say it, there's a fourth man in the crew. We always have Mason producing. We always have somebody in the newsroom, Jay Harper today. A lot of times Ken Weaver. And we always have a good crew. We do. But the most important member of the crew is you. Whether you're texting in, whether you're calling in, whether you're listening either live or on the podcast or on the stream, I appreciate you. And I just wanted to start the show today by saying thank you. What this station has done for me and my family, I don't have enough time to discuss on the air today. But they changed our lives. We were going to move to Phoenix, and I was going to be the media director for Turning Point USA. And I remember being in Phoenix with my wife and thinking, I don't know if I want to move my 4 kids to this city. And looking around and thinking, is this the right place to raise a family? And at the time, full disclosure, it's like, I got to provide, and I have this unbelievable opportunity with Turning Point USA, and I didn't want to take them there. And I felt like if I went to Phoenix, it was for selfish motivations. And I realized at a certain point, I would probably be giving my kids a better life by staying in Murfreesboro and bagging groceries than I would being the media director for Turning Point and being in Phoenix. And that was a hard realization to come to be perfectly honest with you. It took a lot of prayer. It took a lot of time and a lot of thinking, a lot of talking with my wife. And when we made that decision, this show was open. It was still open. And so I made a call to Dan. And I said, if you're still looking for somebody, I'd love to be in consideration. And he said, apply right away and we'll start the process. And it was about a week later that I heard I wasn't going to get the job.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it said, sorry, they have somebody in mind and it's not going to be you. And I said, that's okay. So that's okay. And I remember getting off that phone call and I wasn't like down about it or disappointed. I remember this vividly. I looked at my wife. She's all excited. She's like, what did Dan say? Because we've been waiting for that call. So
yeah.
What did Dan say? I said, well, he said I didn't get the gig. And I remember looking at my wife and I said, I'm not going to listen to him though. I'm still going to get it. And she said, I think you're still going to get it too. And I just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And I mean, I sent emails to anybody that would listen to me at this building. I sent emails to our sales manager. I sent emails to our operations manager. I bothered Dan incessantly, to the point where I remember, this is like 3 weeks after that phone call, I remember texting him. I said, if this is getting to be too much, you tell me. Because I was like, I didn't want to burn that bridge because I respect the hell out of Dan. And then he's randomly, my LinkedIn request got accepted by the general manager here at the station.
Ooh.
And I was like, well, that's a good sign.
Yeah.
And then it took one meeting and, the rest is history.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful to be here. And I appreciate this audience more than you guys will ever fully understand. You changed my family's trajectory in my life. So thank you to Super Talk. Thank you to the audience. Thank you to everybody. 1 year in, I couldn't be more proud of what we've built here. I know Mason has been here doing a great job. I would be, it would be a lapse of judgment if I didn't send a thank you to Mac Morey.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
When we got on the air here, I had never done a show like this, ever. The only experience I had in hosting a talk show format like this was when I did fill-in work on WTN. So I didn't know how it was going to go. And as you know, it's like I came in and I just wanted to do something a little different. And I changed the bumper music and I changed, kind of my delivery. And I'm aiming, Murphy always says it. And I love it when Matt Murphy says it. He's like, well, we're all driving the same direction, but we have very different vehicles. And I came in and it was like, the truck was very low. You know what I mean? Like it is a different vehicle. So, thank you for accepting me. I guess is the long way to get around this. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of this station, of your daily lives, and putting trust in me to deliver news and opinion to you. I can't say enough nice things about what this has been like here, and how much it means to me and my family. So thank you. I could go on and on, but I wanted to start the show and just say thank you. And what do you say?
Little surprise on line one.
Oh, hello. Hey, this is Super Talk. You're on the air.
Hi, Daddy. Hi, guys.
Oh, hey, guys.
We wanted to say we love you. We're so proud of you, and congratulations.
Oh, thank you, guys. Appreciate y'all.
We love you, Daddy. Bye.
Love you guys. Bye.
I love you. Happy anniversary. Bye.
Love you guys. Bye.
Love you. Bye.
And that's why we do it. Whoo! All right.
You don't tear up, then you're a. Oh my goodness!
Yeah,
that
we're
was
gonna
awesome.
we're gonna have to move that first commercial because I'm not gonna be able to read that one. All right, well let's take a quick break and then we'll. I know it's early, but I didn't expect that. They choked me up. Let me take a quick break and we'll be back with reaction to the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. How about that? Well, we'll pivot from me saying thank you to the president almost got shot. Classic radio fashion. It's 9:17 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
A Middle Tennessee school may be the first in the state to install state-of-the-art technology that should help deter school shootings, and calls for a U.S. senator's resignation. We'll have those stories at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's 9:23 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand, and I appreciate all the messages and that I'm getting on the Super Text line. I did get one message that I feel like I have to relay this message. If you remember on Monday, we had Pastor Alan Jackson on.
I'm bummed that I missed that interview.
So we did a quick prayer to open up the show Monday after the events over the weekend, and I felt like that was the right course to take. And I couldn't think of anybody better than Pastor Alan Jackson, who's at my church, World Outreach in Murfreesboro. I do want to say that we're sending out our condolences and our thoughts to Pastor Alan. His mother passed away, and they're going to be having a memorial service for her tomorrow at 10 a.m. So I just wanted to send our thoughts and our prayers to the family of Pastor Alan Jackson and to his mother, Miss Betty Jackson, and you know, say we're thinking of you guys. We appreciate all you guys do for the community and for the kids, and you know, for people's mission towards Christ. And I think I would be doing a disservice if I didn't send my condolences to the family. So I just wanted to let them know we're thinking of them, and you know, everybody at World Outreach. Miss Betty Jackson is she was amazing. So I'm sure you've heard the stories, and I'm sure there'll be more to tell. But I wanted to say that real quick. And we do have a lot to get into today, a lot to cover. The shooting of Donald J. Trump it's creating more questions than answers. It really is. It's wild. I will say this, that even in these moments where Donald Trump is almost murdered, he has the RNC going on. He has his VP pick. He took some time the other day, and this is in just classic Donald Trump fashion. He took a moment the other day to call the wife of Corey Compatore, who is the individual who was murdered at the Donald Trump rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, because he covered up his daughters and took bullets for them. Just a stand-up gentleman and great father, and that his last act proved it. Donald Trump took a moment to call the wife of Corey Compatore to send his condolences the other day.
Now, from our Alexis McAdams, that President Trump has called the family of a man killed at that Pennsylvania rally. The former president calling the wife of Corey Compatore to express his deepest condolences. That the emotional conversation comes after the former president was nearly assassinated himself. You might recall that Compatore was a 50-year-old former fire chief who famously jumped on top of his daughter as well as his wife to rescue them in the line of fire. They're okay. He died. He's been seen as a hero. And it is acts like these and the president not forgetting him and those who were having to endure all of this that raises a great deal of attention and marvel.
It does. And this kind of stuff sets Trump apart. He has this human element to him that is so authentic and just can't be faked. You can't fake that. And he always takes time out. You know, we covered it before. He called the family of Rachel Marin, the mother of 5 who was murdered by an illegal alien. This is just what Trump does. At his core, he's so human, and he understands what's important. And a family lost their father. So he made it a point to call them. He also made it a point to put up a GoFundMe for Corey Compatore's family, as well as the other victims who suffered injuries at the rally. And that has raised almost over $4 million at the last glance. I last time I checked, over $4 million. They originally wanted to raise $1 million, and that's going to go to the daughters, the wife, the families of the victims there at the rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, which is just incredible to see Americans come together and stand up and do something real. I really like that. Meanwhile, on the left, they're doing everything that they can to not allow Donald Trump to, quote unquote, capitalize on this, to not be viewed as a sympathetic hero. In fact, there's even reports that they want to bury the photo of Trump with his fist in the air. Yeah. You know, the iconic photo with blood streaking down his face and his fist in the air and Donald Trump yelling fight to the crowd. They don't want people to see that. In fact, an Axios reporter, a photo editor at a major news outlet, is suggesting that the media should really bury that photo because and I quote, it's kind of free PR for Trump in a way, and it's dangerous for media organizations to keep sharing that photo despite how good it is. Despite how good it is.
It's almost like they don't want people to rally behind him. Interesting.
Yeah. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Listen, I know the guy's got shot, but let's not make him a hero or anything. These people are, the press is the enemy of the people. When you see stuff like this, that's exactly what we mean when they say the press is the enemy of the people. They really, really hate Trump. And it took no time at all for them to tell us as conservatives, we need to tone down the rhetoric. But the left keeps going. The day after the assassination attempt, Joe Biden goes on an interview and says Donald Trump is a danger to America. He's a threat to democracy. The day after. Well, again, with everything we're learning about the events and how it transpired, it's raising more questions than answers. And, you know, we're hearing all the coverage about the sloped roof. You can't put snipers on a sloped roof, you know, completely ignoring that the counter sniper team was on a sloped roof. But there's so many questions. Rep. Corey Mills out of Florida is a former Army sniper, and he flabbergasted CNN when all he did was go on the air and relay what millions upon millions of Americans are thinking. This doesn't really add up. I have that audio for you next. Hang out with us. It's 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It is 9:30. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. It's partly sunny and 86 degrees. A full forecast coming up in just a couple of minutes. Here in Middle Tennessee, a gunshot sensor could soon be installed at one Rutherford County school. Rutherford County School Board is scheduled to take a vote tonight about whether or not to install a gunshot sensor at Central Magnet High School. The devices detect sounds that could potentially be gunshots and alert police as to the approximate area from where the noise came from, allowing for quicker responses to possible instances of gun violence. On the national front, New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez, he's been convicted on charges of bribery and corruption. Menendez was convicted of using his political influence for cash, cars, and mortgage payments. Law enforcement also uncovering stacks of cash as well as gold bars at his house. More from ABC's Aaron Katursky, who says many fellow Democrats are asking the senior senator to step down.
Those calls from within his own party, Senator Menendez to resign, are only getting louder after he was convicted of taking bribes. Immediately after the verdict, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer saying it would be in the best interest of his constituents, the Senate, and our country. The jury taking 13 hours over 3 days to find Menendez guilty as charged on all 16 counts, including bribery, extortion, and being a public official acting as a foreign agent.
That is the latest news. We've got weather and another I think the traffic reports are done for the morning. Yeah, again, I get mixed up doing this morning show because I've had 2 hours sleep. All right, traffic and weather are not next.
Jay, don't worry. With the way 24 is, I can guarantee we'll have some traffic update at some point. All right.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Hey, I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Jay Harper, we appreciate you being here. My name is Chris Hand. I'm here to tell you about the Glock store, just like I do every single day, because, they pay me to tell you how much I enjoy going to the Glock store, and I'm really happy to do it. It's good work if you can get it. But I went to the Glock store to check things out, and now I'm going to the Glock store for selfish reasons. Basically, I want the people helping me evaluate and choose my personal firearms to be professional, knowledgeable, friendly, and that's exactly what I get at the Glock store. Heck, they have a whole genius bar like the Mac stores in the back, a counter just dedicated to answering your questions. I like that, and so will you, because if you're like me, you have lots of questions when you go to a gun store, and you want somebody that you can trust to give you those answers. And then when I want to practice shooting, to protect myself, my family. You heard my 4 young kids calling earlier. I mean, these are people I really care about and I love, and I want to make sure I can protect them. So I have to train with my firearm, and when I do it in the Shoot 270 private shooting room with a trained professional instructor right next to me. It is much more realistic training than in a lane range, by yourself next to who knows who. So really, why would I go anywhere else than the Glock store? Why would you? Stop by the Glock store, talk to the people, check out the shooting rooms, not because they pay me to tell you about it, but because once you discover the Glock store, I can guarantee it's going to be your new favorite place as well. That's the Glock store. It's minutes from the airport and worth the drive from anywhere.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Let me tell you the weapons that they used. First, they tried to ruin his reputation, and he's more popular now than ever. And then they tried to bankrupt him, and he's got more money now than he had before. And then they tried to put him in prison, and he's freer and has made other people free with him. And then last weekend they tried to kill him, and there he is over there alive and well.
That's Ben Carson last night at the RNC. No weapons formed against Trump shall prosper, right? It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN 939. I'm Chris Hand. Thank you for joining the show. Got quite a few people waiting on the line to talk. Let's go to JL in Nashville. And I know you wanted to get on the show yesterday. I'm sorry that we didn't have time for you, brother. But you're up first on Super Talk. What's up, man?
All good, Chris. Hey, congrats on a year, man.
Hey, thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Hey, I just wanted to talk about the shooter. And just, I know you said yesterday, I think most people are in agreement with you. One of two things happen. He's either the luckiest person in the world or something stinks to high heaven. You know, if you're part of that crowd and you're going to try to pull that off in the government or the intel community, whoever it would be, how do you go about it? You can't play the same card that you did with JFK and have multiple shooters. It's got to be one of these school shooter types, a loner, right? And there's so many questions.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and I think that there's like, there's competing theories, right? And I think on the conservative side, like it's funny because like we don't want to dive into conspiracy theories, but if you look at the left on the internet, Democrats and progressives, they think the entire thing was staged, that there were crisis actors and that nobody really shot the president and it was fake blood. Like, those are the fringe conspiracy theories. They're like, oh, well, nobody ran. Nobody in the audience ran. It has to be faked. It's like, no, the audience is full of, like, strong men and women that aren't going to run. And I would also point out the audience knew that they probably weren't the target, clearly. So, like, that's the conspiracy theory. I think on the right, we have legitimate questions. We have legitimate questions. The Secret Service director said that they couldn't get up on that roof with counter snipers because it was sloped. It was sloped. We've heard the stories about supplemental protection for Donald Trump. There were, he had some backups in. And then now we're hearing that there was also an Iranian assassination alert. That they were going to try and avenge Soleimani and go after Trump. And that they knew about that weeks in advance and that he had heightened security. Well, if he had heightened security, how does that happen even more? More questions keep coming up. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, man. I mean, there's so many questions. The Secret Service director's answer, she deserves to be fired. It's inexplicable.
100%. Even if she had legitimate answers instead of a sloped roof, even if she could like fully explain where the lapses were, well, the lapses were still there and you should still either resign or be fired completely.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for taking my call. I'll let you get back to it. At the end, last thing I wanted to say is I know you caught Vivek's speech last night, man. I hope he gets the cabinet position. He's awesome.
Me and you both. I think Vivek is the more I listen to Vivek, the more I like him. It's funny. We had during the RNC primaries, we had the whole conversation. Is he a plant? Is he not who he says he is? I think he's who he says he is. And I think when you look at the youth of the Conservative Party right now, you look at guys like J.D. Vance, you look at guys like Vivek Ramaswamy, like we got a bench. We got a roster. We got talent that's developing. What about the left? Nothing. Let's go to Bobby in Nashville. You're up next on Super Talk. What's up, Bobby?
Hey, brother, as always, you do a fantastic job, you and the crew, and I want to give you a shout-out for getting that out there about Pastor Jackson's mom in Murfreesboro. If you know Pastor Jackson, he's kind of like Donald Trump. He speaks from the heart. He don't hold nothing back. Actually, both of them guys are just like me and you, man.
Yep.
But I want to get this out there, too. I think some of the Democrats is beginning to realize that the voters, that it's a little different than what it was. They've always been told 4 to 5 months before the election what they're going to get for free, what I'm going to do for you. Well, I guess they finally beginning to figure out that the way it's always been. You put us in office, once we get in office, it's just the same way it's always been. And the thing that really kind of put the hurt on them a little bit, the Democratic committee, is when the guy from the Teamsters, when he got up there and spoke, that really put a hurt on him. But, brother, appreciate you. Love you.
Hey.
Keep talking about the big guy, the Lord upstairs. And,
yes, sir.
I'll let you get a word in.
Appreciate you, Bobby. Love you back, man. And thank you for calling. Yeah, the Teamsters Union president being up there was a huge blow at the RNC last night. You know, and they get along really well with J.D. Vance, and that's one of the things he brings as the Veep. You know, the Democrats used to be the party of the working class. Not so much anymore. The working class is now conservatives. 100%. 100%. That's one of the things J.D. Vance brings to the table. They're absolutely scared that workers are flocking to the Republican Party. In fact, Quentin Fulks, he's a junior spokesperson for the Biden campaign. He was talking about the Teamsters president being at the RNC, talking about how he wasn't really saying he's mad, but you can just hear it in his voice. He's just really upset that workers are flocking to the Republican Party. Hang on one second. Here we go.
Last night's audience certainly did not show a lot of enthusiasm during the primetime remarks about standing up for America's workers. The response could have been described as lukewarm at best.
Did he watch the same RNC I did?
Some tepid applause here and there. A forced smile from former President Trump when he would realize that the camera was panned on him. But that's hardly surprising, because Donald Trump's Republican Party will always choose big, greedy, anti-union extremists over the working men and women of America.
I mean, it sounds like a cope. It sounds like he's coping. And you can taste the salt coming off this guy. Sorry, the working class Americans definitely identify more with Donald Trump than Joe Biden. And even if they don't like Donald Trump as a person, if you're a working class American, look at your grocery bill, look at your power bill, look at the gas, look at your rent, look at your mortgage payment. That's one of the reasons why they're flocking over to Donald Trump and the conservatives and the Republican Party. Then Quentin Fulks says, he's like, they're not focused on what Americans are worried about. I'll tell you what Americans are worried about.
Americans at home are worried about their mortgages. They're worried about their rent. They're worried about health care. They're worried about child care. They're worried about how they're going to continue to put gas in their tanks.
Yeah, and I would just point out, who's been the president for the last 3 years? Who came in with 2% inflation even though he says it was 9%? Who's made the gas prices go up? Who's made the inflation happen? Who's made the interest rates sky high? Oh, that was your guy. You can still be upset. You can still be upset. Doesn't make it any less true. Let's go to Larry in Clarksville. You're up next on Super Talk. What's up, Larry?
Hey, Chris. Thanks for taking my call. And congratulations
on the
1 year. Dan made great hires with you, Matt, and Brian. I would never admit that to Matt Murphy, but Dan made great hires.
Amen. I owe Dan Mandis a lot. I'm grateful for that guy.
Well, and prayers for Pastor Jackson.
Yes, sir.
First of all, and his family. But Chris, I've got a little bit of background. This crap that happened in Pennsylvania, heads should have already rolled.
Oh, 100%. Like I said to a previous caller, even if she had an answer for everything that made sense and lined up and was accurate, you still failed. And you should still be removed from your position.
Well, but nobody in this administration gets removed for anything.
You're absolutely right. Was anybody fired over Afghanistan?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And nobody was fired under Obama after the IRS crap that happened.
Yep. What about Fast and Furious? What about Benghazi? We can go down the list.
Yeah. We can. And I'm having to duct tape my head, keep it from exploding.
Yep.
But, this Let me ask you a question. Is Congress not over the DOJ and the CIA and the FBI?
Well, that's how it's supposed to be, right?
Well, then people need to be subpoenaed. People need to be brought in.
They are going to be bringing in Mayorkas, Ray, and Cheadle on the 23rd of July. And they're going to be in front of the what committee is it? One of the committees. I'm drawing a blank. But they are coming in on the 23rd to answer questions to Congress.
Yeah, maybe the judicial. But Mayorkas is just going to lie like he always does.
Fair enough.
And, Cheadle ain't got enough sense to get in out of the rain.
Yep.
She's too interested in DEI hiring. You cannot have a 5'2" or 5'3" man or woman trying to stand in front of and protect a man that's 6'3".
Oh, I made that point a couple times. It's like his face was completely exposed. What are you doing? You're supposed to shield him from bullets, and he's towering over you.
And they didn't have a ramp to get him off the stage. They had steps that they had to try to help this big man down. I mean,
yeah, I'm with you, Larry.
It sounds to me, Chris, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but it sounds to me like this was an inside CIA job.
I mean, until we get more info, it's hard to jump there. But I will say this, your questions are valid, and millions of Americans have these questions. Currently, as far as I'm concerned, and I appreciate your call, Larry, as always, you're the man. But as far as I'm concerned, the conspiracy theorists are the ones on the internet who are claiming the entire thing was staged with crisis actors. Those are the conspiracy theorists. As far as we're concerned, we have actual questions. And the questions are valid, and the questions demand answers. Let's go to Eric in Morristown. You're next on Super Talk. What's up, Eric?
Hey, good morning, man. Thanks for my call. Happy birthday,
so to speak. Thank you.
Hey, real quick. Madeleine Brain, her speech last night, I weeped a little bit on that speech. That lady was filled with passion. The Democrats have left the less fortunate in our nation behind.
Yep.
And I feel for her pain and the loss, the horrific loss of her son via crime and not via combat.
Yep.
He did, serve his time downrange. So kudos to her. Second, with his name escapes me right now. The no weapon formed against you shall prosper. That was another Dr. Ben Carson.
Yep.
That was another tearjerker moment because I think that should be plastered all over any of the prints at the bottom of President Trump's fist triumphant, a renaissance or a phoenix moment, if you will.
When you look at what happened with Trump there, and you look at it from the God angle, it's mind-blowing. The shots rang out at 6:11, Ephesians 6:11, put on the armor of God so that you may be able to stand firm against the tactics of the devil. The flag getting tangled up and looking like an angel beforehand. I heard reports that there was a priest in the crowd as Trump is speaking, felt the need to pray for his safety and gathered people while Trump was on stage, and they all said a prayer for Trump's safety minutes before he was shot. When you look at it from the God angle, it is undeniable what happened there. It was divine intervention.
100%. We're dealing with not only a physical combative war, we're not only dealing with an information influence war, we're also dealing with a spiritual war, in my opinion. That goes without saying, but I'd like segueing into this shooter situation and the Iranian blame. They're trying to shift the blame or form this conspiracy theory in all sense of the word. Some people get called conspiracy theorists. I think we should be called repetitive pattern analysts.
Yeah.
This is what I see going on. What we saw, what the world witnessed on the assassination attempt, I feel is a part of fourth generation asymmetrical warfare with state sponsorship. And the state sponsorship is the powers that be, some call them the deep state, the federal government of the United States. And that's my opinion. With my, I'll put my resume up, I'll put my CV up just about against just about anybody on that.
But and I think that you're right to have those, like, this is America, you can have those kind of thoughts, but the thing is, like, we have these questions and the questions aren't being answered.
They're not being answered purposefully.
Exactly.
They're being muddied. The waters are being muddied. This is part of a fifth generation warfare of influence operations, and we're dealing with the cyber warfare. This is what's going on, and some people call it a color revolution. If you look at different patterns, even throughout history, from Iran in the 50s to Iran in the 70s, you can look at the Pinochet overthrow in Chile, in the early 70s, or 80s. All this stuff, and this is a tactic of a competent adversary, and it doesn't matter if it's the Soviet Union, it doesn't matter if it's China, Vietnam, it doesn't matter, India, the United States, whatever. This is a how should I say, an SOP to follow. You foment, you capture the educational institutions which are captured. So I pray that President Trump and J.D. Vance, they take the election. I pray for that. But with that said, that's not the end. That's only the beginning.
Exactly.
That's the end of the beginning.
There's a lot of work to do.
Yeah, we need to recapture these institutional learning facilities.
Amen.
American education system has let us all down. Anyway, thanks for the time, man. I appreciate it. Good show. Super fine, man.
Hey, appreciate you, Eric. Thanks, man. Yeah, and with the Iranian thing, I got the audio from that. We're going to cover that at a certain point. Could the Iranians have wanted to kill Trump? Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm not discounting that. Who would you rather have in office if you were Iran, Joe Biden or Donald Trump? I think that's an easy call. But if this a potential assassination threat was there and they heightened his security, it actually gives me more questions than answers. Again, it's 9:55 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Good morning. It is 10 a.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. For the moment, sunny, 85 degrees, a changing weather forecast coming up. On the day that public safety was the theme, police officers sent to help to protect the Republican National Convention shot and killed a homeless man about a mile from the venue. ABC's Jim Ryan says that 5 Columbus, Ohio bicycle officers spotted Samuel Sharp holding a knife in each hand and threatening another man.
Within hours, police video of the shooting was released. Milwaukee Mayor Cavalier Johnson says it's clear to him that
these Columbus officers saved the life of an unarmed man from death or perhaps serious injury.
At an evening vigil, protesters say the officers were too rash.
You mean to tell me they could see the supposed knife that Samuel Sharp had or the danger that he put other people in?
The mayor promises a full investigation.
Back in Middle Tennessee, authorities have arrested a suspect accused of robbing a man at gunpoint at Centennial Park here in Nashville in broad daylight yesterday afternoon. The victim told police that a man approached him, pointed a gun in his chest, and said, "Give me everything you've got." He added that the suspect also struck him in the head and knocked him to the ground. Police reviewed nearby surveillance cameras and spotted a man matching the description that the police were given by witnesses. They found the man as he was entering the Parthenon Towers apartments, and after they obtained a search warrant, police were able to locate and arrest 49-year-old Kenya Lewis. He's currently being held in Metro Jail on $80,000 bond. That is the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
10:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Joined in studio by Sarah McCabe, the wife of J6 political prisoner Ronald McCabe. Thanks for coming in, Sarah.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
We're going to try and do like a weekly thing. And I said to Sarah, I was like, hey, this weekend I'm going to brainstorm on some topics and we'll come up with like a cool title for the segment that we're going to start doing on Wednesdays. And then, you know what happened over the weekend.
Yeah.
So I didn't have any time to brainstorm.
We don't have any time to do anything except for save America.
Honestly, what was your instant reaction? Where were you when you found out the news that there was an assassination attempt on the president?
I think it's going to be like 9/11, where you will never forget where you were.
Yeah.
When somebody brings it up, 50 years from now, you're going to be able to say, this is where I was, this is what I was doing. I was at home, and much like you, my phone started to ring off the hook. People, where are you? I couldn't text you fast enough, because I've been known to go to different rallies, and I did know people there on the ground that I'm trying to call. Are you okay? What's going on?
Yep.
And I'm sure like you, just
Brick Suit was in the front row. I'm like, yo. Brick Suit was right there. Virginia, my wife was like, Brick Suit was there? I was like, front row.
Yeah, right.
Crazy.
It is. It's in the aftermath of it, right? I think you're going to see America come together, unity, seeing what, even people that didn't agree with Donald Trump and maybe were never Trumpers before this are now coming out and saying, this has no stance. And they truly mean it. People coming out, Elon Musk donating $45 million a month to a PAC. Yes. And now, there's so much good happening for our movement, but it's just been sad that we have come to this point in the nation.
Yeah, you kind of took me off on a tangent. Did you hear what else Elon's done? So California passed a law that they've implemented a ban on notifying parents on their gender, on the kids' gender transition or decisions, all this. And that was the final straw for Elon. So he's pulled SpaceX out of Cali and he's bringing it to Texas.
And the crazy thing is he told Newsom, if you do this, I am leaving. And they just don't care.
They don't care.
And it goes against everything. His constituents, the parents, didn't want this. And he did it anyway. At the end of this, I wouldn't be surprised if California goes red.
It wouldn't shock me. Nothing would shock me. And you look at I was watching CNN and they're talking about the path to 270. They're freaking out.
They are.
They're on the air on CNN going, it's a realistic possibility that Trump gets 330.
He's going to win by a landslide.
It's going to be nuts. I also saw on CNN, back to the assassination attempt, and I kind of wanted to get your reaction on this. Rep. Corey Mills out of Florida, former Army sniper, he goes to CNN and he shocks them. And he shocks the people at CNN because he just says what Americans are thinking. And it starts off smooth. He's not really scaring her. He's just kind of making points about the assassination attempt.
I look at all of these things, and I look at different videos where an assailant will pull a firearm on a law enforcement officer, and the first thing they do is they immediately pull and draw and mitigate the threat and the risk. I ask why the local law enforcement officer did not do so. The other thing is that when you set up an advanced team, I keep hearing this about the perimeter elements.
Yeah.
The perimeter is actually established by your threats that are in the area. So if I don't have any threats outside of 100 yards, okay, fine, I can cordon off a certain area. But if I have a building 160 yards perfectly adjacent to the stage, that's an obvious threat, especially with an elevated position that has overwatch. That's a sniper's paradise. And, we talk about eagle nest. You also have, which no one talks about, but the water tower.
So what I'm hearing from you is it's not a failure on the ground for sure, but 100%. Also a failure in advance?
I think it's a failure in advance. I think it's a failure to have the counter snipers to be able to establish their range fin and their sketch maps.
So it starts off smooth. He's not really scaring her. He's just relaying what everybody said. What about the water tower? Why was there nobody on that roof? The CIA director, Secret Service director says it was a sloped roof. And she ignores that the counter snipers on the other roof were on a sloped roof.
Right.
it blows my mind. And then he says, so here's my problem, and this is, it really starts to make her uncomfortable. But here's my problem. In having done this for so long, they always say the adage of ignorance is bliss, and I think that's true. I've done thousands of advances. I've done thousands of counter-sniper operations with our teams in Iraq and Afghanistan, etc. The amount of negligence, the amount of mistakes that was made here, I have a very difficult time not leaning myself towards this was intentional as opposed to fecklessness.
Wait, talk to me about that. I actually heard you say this right the day after, which I wanted to ask you about. What do you mean intentional?
You know,
I mean, an intentional failure on the part of...
No, I wouldn't say an intentional failure on the part of, but I got to just, I sit here and I scratch my head. You don't want to be the conspiracist. You don't want to be the person.
I'm telling you, because that's what it's leaning toward.
No, I know. And that's the issue, is that you walk this fine balance of, you're not trying to be a conspiracist, but you look at it and you go, how could this have gone so...
But it's one thing if someone on the street says it. It's another. I mean, you, Corey Mills, member of Congress, former sniper, you saying it, I mean, it makes my eyebrows go up.
And she was physically starting to get panicked. But there's only two operating theories that make any sense. Monumental security lapse or something far more sinister.
You know, and I believe with the power of social media, the people are going to figure this out before the three-letter agencies ever. And they might know it, but they're not going to expose the truth about it. You know, I mean, people on the ground that day have video that they saw him on the roof before anything was ever done about it. Why did you give him the opportunity to... He very well could have assassinated President Trump on live TV.
Yeah.
And why did you even give him that opportunity if you saw him prior to that?
They spotted him with a rangefinder. They took pictures of him. He left. He came back with a backpack. He left. He came back. They said it was, I've heard reports of up to an hour. I've heard reports of 26 minutes. 2 minutes is too long.
It is.
2 minutes is plenty of time to say, red flag, get the president off the stage.
Right. He stopped the rally.
Have you seen the video that's going around where they've compiled all the cell phone footage with the rally footage, and it's all in real time, so
Yes.
you can watch the people scrambling? Unbelievable.
So I know a guy, Todd Gerhardt, that was there that day. He was a vendor. He was inside the gates. And after all chaos had broke out, they were like, okay, the threat has been, I mean, clearly the rally was over, right? But there was no more threat. Well, then all of a sudden, these police officers and Secret Service and all these three-letter agencies are running through the crowds telling people to just get out of there because they had found a suspicious package nearby. And so they're running through saying, get out of here, get out of here. And so everybody left. It was almost like the rapture had come because everybody just left everything as it was.
Yep.
And then he tried to go back to get his stuff because he was a vendor. And they finally let him in on Monday because they were like, it's an active crime scene. We can't let anybody in. But he was escorted in by Secret Service. And he was like, Sarah, it was literally like time stood still. You had chicken tenders in a basket, half dipped in ranch.
Jeez.
You had hot dog rollers still on the rollers. Like it was literally like time had just stood still.
That's crazy. That's crazy. And they had so much time to get this guy off stage. It makes no sense. And he says, the CNN anchor asked Corey Mills, what do you mean that, you're walking the line between intentional and an accident? And it's, he really starts to jar her.
When you say you're walking the line on this, intentional what?
It almost seems to me, I think that an investigation is necessary at this point within Congress, not just the FBI, not just others.
I think that's important.
It is very important.
Because the trust at the FBI is at, the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
So even if the FBI comes out and they say it was a security failure, lone wolf, even if that is the accurate information, there's going to be doubts. We need a separate parallel investigation. Do we not?
We do, but I don't even agree that it needs to be Congress because I don't trust Congress to do an accurate investigation either. I think you need an outside agency to come in and do this investigation, and maybe all three simultaneously do it at the same time and see if they come up with the same result.
And it's wild because new information is coming so quick, so fast. I literally just got a notification that's from the Daily Mail. Secret Service had spotted Thomas Matthew Crooks 3 hours before Trump's rally carrying a rangefinder. 3 hours?
Right.
3 hours.
I look back at it and I'm thinking, all right, for an individual, if you looked at the escalations and how they are trying to approach him, let's just say that it was like, okay, first we want to censor and silence you, then we want to indict and imprison you. Now we're attempting to kill you and take you off the stage.
So let's slow down.
Please.
I'm hearing two things from you. I don't want to jump ahead of things, but I'm also hearing you jumping ahead of things.
Well, actually, I'm just looking at all the different possible capabilities. One of the things as a military member, one of the things as a person who's running the Special Operations Community, opportunities before. One of the people who's actually done this is that you look at all potential analysis, right?
Donald Trump and his team have said, do not,
no, I agree.
Dial it back. Do not blame this on Joe Biden.
Oh, well, actually, I didn't say Joe Biden.
I didn't say Joe Biden.
No, she's jumping to conclusions.
Exactly.
Now.
Well, and again, I just want to point out the only conspiracy theory I see is the left saying that it was all staged.
Right.
But that gets no coverage, no play, and it shouldn't. But they try to make it seem like we are the conspiracy theorists for asking questions.
Well, and I think ultimately it goes back to the end of the day. The people that are currently in power are evil.
Yep.
We have evil forces running this country. So why wouldn't we question what is happening to a man that has and continued to expose them?
Honestly. And what would they be willing to do to get rid of him? Like we've all
everything.
said. Ben Carson last night at the RNC said, they tried to bankrupt him. They tried to throw him in jail, and now this. So it's hard not to go there mentally.
Right.
Very hard. But the CNN anchor said, "Who's the they then? Who is the they?"
Who's the they then? Let's be very specific.
Well, that's what the investigation has to do. Was it local law enforcement that had made the mistakes, or was there something to it? Was there other types of things that we need to be analyzing or looking at and providing analysis? My point is that when something's so significant, you're talking about something that hasn't happened in decades, right?
I totally.
But my point is this: from a perspective of someone who's actually conducted these are not difficult advances. This is not like I'm putting together a stage placement and a tight shot. This is about looking at your surroundings. What is my green, yellow, and red route, which is your routes out in case? What is my actual elements that I need to be looking at as far as mitigating threats or risks or increased levels? Where's my range fan for the sniper that says, okay, here's my 100, my 200, my sketch. Here's an area where someone could shoot. Because here's my thing.
So you're
Let's
saying,
just say it's a Royce element.
You're saying this is so basic that how big the screw up was, that's what's leading your brain down this road?
That's exactly right.
That's what
I agree too.
I think millions of Americans feel like this.
Yes.
Millions. It is so basic that a 7th grader could have spotted that roof could be used. And they did.
It's a direct line of sight to the stage.
And there are police officers all around and people screaming, he's on the roof, he's on the roof. And nothing. And they don't even try and get the president off the stage. Where was the walkie-talkie communication? Why didn't anybody get on the radio and say, get him off the stage?
Or did they? And we might never know.
It is too early to be talking.
Yeah. Did they? And we might never know. There's a lot of things in this that we might never know. But the CNN anchor says, is it too early to be talking about fault and responsibility?
It is too early to be talking about who is at fault and who is responsible.
That's why an investigation is necessary.
Is it not dangerous? Is it not reckless to even be throwing around the word intentionally?
So to question things as we do an investigation is recklessness, because at that point, then should we never question anything? My point is this.
I'm not trying to be PC. My point is in the political environment that we are in.
What would it have taken, right? Let's just say that resources was limited. Let's go with that as a reasoning. So how many times have you seen where they just put a police car inside of a parking lot with not an officer in it and just leave the lights on as a deterrent? Why couldn't that have been a simple thing that was placed in? Why couldn't we have said to the owner of the actual AGR company, hey, look, we don't want to disrupt your business, but we also want to make sure your parking lot is clear of people trying to park in there for the rally. Why don't we place an officer there? My point is that this was too easy of a solution. And when I think about 160
I'm just so uncomfortable with even having
I'm uncomfortable with having to say it.
I'm uncomfortable with having to say it.
At what point did it become wrong to say, hey, I have a question about this?
Honestly.
I mean, that's what she's saying. We're not allowed to question this while an investigation's going on, but
we have to wait. That's what the mainstream media is telling us. Please wait. The authorities will be with you shortly. You know?
That's what we've come to in a nation.
It's flabbergasting. We're with Sarah McCabe in studio. She's the wife of J6 political prisoner Ronald McCabe. And you have some updates on J6 Tennesseers, right?
Yes.
Tennesseans.
Yes.
We'll get to that after the break. It's 10:20 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand for my friends at Paul Winkler Inc. And it's so funny. Paul just popped in here a minute ago. He's walking around the studio. He says, hey, the separation between rich and poor is really big again. He said it was also big under Obama. What a coincidence. That's Paul Winkler for you. He laughed and he walked out. But this is why I trust this guy. He pays attention to what's happening in the financial landscape, and he knows what to do when it's an election year, when you're not sure where your money should be. Paul knows. And if you haven't talked to Paul Winkler before, you should talk to him today. He hosts the Investor Coaching Show every Saturday here from 3 to 6. And he got his resume done by studying under an economist who went on to win a Nobel Prize. It's pretty cool. And he's an avid collector of financial planning designations. He has up to 8 now. So my wife and I work with Paul. We trust Paul. We're going to be meeting with him next week again. And when I came on board here at WTN a year ago, his firm was the one I wanted to work with because they hold themselves to the highest level of fiduciary status. As such, Paul wants to make sure I tell you that I get paid to do these commercials. He wants the transparency. He wants the honesty. I like that. I also like that Paul's team does nothing on commission and that they really focus on education so you never get the feeling of blind trust. They look at your whole financial picture and then they'll help you make some decisions. But it starts with you setting up a phone call, and you can do it right now at paulwinkler.com. That's paulwinkler.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Tonight at the GOP convention, the nation will hear from Donald Trump's the VP pick. He may be a VIP pick as well. Also, another robbery at a Midtown Nashville park in broad daylight. We'll have that story at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Jay Harper. It's 10:26 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand, joined in studio by the brilliant Sarah McCabe, who is the wife of political prisoner J6 political prisoner Ronald McCabe. Hey, Sarah, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. You have updates on Tennesseans that are being held on these J6 charges, correct?
Yeah. So I was pulling stats for something else, and I got a hold of the list of all January 6 defendants. And so I went through and pulled the Tennessee ones. There's actually 33 Tennesseans. 8 of them are currently incarcerated. And the other ones we either, don't have information for, but 3 of those are still awaiting to be sentenced. So, they're still going after people because for a while it was 27 and now it's bumped up to 33.
So even after all this time, they're still able to go after these people and charge them, and they're still awaiting trial.
Yes. Yes, there's some people that are still being held from very beginning in 2021 that still have not had trial.
And you've started a couple foundations, and I love what you're doing at Stand in the Gap. It's
Foundation.
StandInTheGap.Foundation is the website. And what are you doing for these J6 political prisoners?
So the main thing, the program that I absolutely love is they were denied visitation for 2 years.
Crazy.
Yeah. They couldn't even see them via video. I mean, no other than phone calls.
And you experienced this yourself, correct?
Yeah, I went a year and a half.
Without seeing your husband?
Yeah, and then the first time I did see him was behind glass for a mere 30 minutes. I had to travel all the way to D.C., and I only got to see him for 30 minutes.
Jeez.
It's wild what they do to these people. You have rapists and murderers and heinous crimes, and they are allowed to have visitation and religious services. And I'm actually surprised nobody has stepped up to try to do a class action lawsuit against the Department of Justice, against the DC DOC, against the mayor for allowing this to continue for so long.
So at StandInTheGap.Foundation, that's the website, you're assisting families get those visits. How are you guys doing that?
Yeah, so we pay for flights, transportation, hotels, whatever they need to ensure that they are not having to spend their own money, because a lot of people had to say, hey, am I going to pay my mortgage? Am I going to pay my rent payment? Or am I going to go see, my loved one? And nobody should be put in a position like that. And actually, we just sent a family, the last name is Atwood in D.C. He was arrested before his child was born. And so he had to visit, and we were honored to be a part of that, but he got to see his child for the first time at visitation.
Wow. That's incredible.
That's what they are doing to these American citizens. They're holding them without bond so they can't be a part of their family.
And you accept donations at StandInTheGap.Foundation to help these guys, but not just so that way their family can visit them, but also to help them with court cases.
Yeah, so now we are getting a lot because the 1512 was overturned. Now these individuals have to pay attorneys again to go back and fight on their behalf to be resentenced or to fight for them to even be released. And so now we're getting a request because, we're 3.5 years into this for some families. They've already paid for defense attorneys. Some of them have even gone through the appellate process. And now again, they're having to pay to try and get some sort of justice for their family.
I mean, it seems like the only color that influences trials in America today is green.
Yes. And that's the way it is, right? And for the longest time, we said, why are we funding defense attorneys? Because there's a 99.6 conviction rate among January 6 defendants in Washington, D.C. And so we're like, even if you have the best attorney, why are we funding that? We need to take their cases to appeals and to the Supreme Court, which we have seen with the Brock case went to the appeals for the 1512, and the Fisher case went for the Supreme Court. But I think we're going to see that a lot more if things don't change for this country.
Yeah, and hopefully they do. So the website, if you want to help these J6 political prisoners get a visit from their family or help out with legal fees, if you want to donate, is StandInTheGap.Foundation. And we'll be back after Jay Harper's newscast. We got a bunch of people waiting on the line to talk about what happened over the weekend with Donald J. Trump. We'll do that with Sarah McCabe and more. Hang out with us. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It is 10:30 a.m. and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We've got sun and 87 degrees. A changing weather forecast is on the way. Tonight, the speeches continue At the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee, Donald Trump's newly minted running mate, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, is slated to speak. ABC's Catherine Falter says in light of the attempted assassination of Trump, the rhetoric may be toned down a bit.
As Trump's running mate, how does he continue that message of unity in his speech tonight? I was at this event yesterday with the RNC chair who was talking about how, yes, speeches are being edited. They are changing their message. How would you not want to change that after the events that happened last weekend? So I'm interested to see what he says.
Here in Nashville, authorities have arrested a suspect accused of robbing a man at gunpoint at Centennial Park in broad daylight yesterday afternoon. The victim told police that a man approached him, pointed a gun in his chest, and said, "Give me everything you got." The victim also said the suspect struck him in the head and knocked him to the ground. Police reviewed nearby surveillance cameras and spotted a man matching the description that police were given, entering a unit at the Parthenon Towers. After getting a search warrant, police were able to locate and arrest 49-year-old Kenya Lewis. He's being held in Metro Jail on an $80,000 bond. That is the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
1036 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand, joined in studio by Sarah McCabe. She is the wife of a political prisoner, Ronald McCabe, for what happened on January 6th. Grateful to have her. She's going to be joining us every Wednesday at this time. Sarah, how are you?
I'm wonderful. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, we're going to come up with like a name for this segment or something fun, but I didn't have the opportunity to this weekend.
You were a little busy.
Given the current events, we do have some people waiting on the line that do want to talk. Let's go to Dave in Hendersonville. You're up first on Super Talk. What's up, Dave?
Hey, buddy. How's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Hello to your guest there.
Hi.
And sorry your husband's having to go through what he's going through.
Well, thank you.
Chris, have you seen the video out there of the lady that is directly behind President Trump during the shooting that is perfectly calm? She doesn't jump. She doesn't blink. She does nothing but pull her phone out and start videotaping.
Yeah, I've seen that and I've heard that theory. I'll be honest with you, that one I don't put much stock into. If you've never been around guns, do you know what they sound like? And honestly, it's on live TV. They don't exactly need somebody to document it. You know what I mean? It's not like the mob where they're like, send a finger back so I know he's dead. Like, it's on TV. You know what I mean? So I've seen that video circulating, but I haven't put much stock into it, me personally.
I don't know, man. She's just too calm for me.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, it's definitely odd behavior, but
very odd behavior. Everybody else is ducking and screaming and yelling, and she has no reaction but to videotape.
Yeah,
she doesn't jump, doesn't duck, or nothing.
But don't you think you're kind of... maybe she's never been in that situation before. Maybe she deals with stress differently than other people. Maybe internally she was having a freak out moment. Who knows? But I don't think if your thought is it was an inside job and they sent somebody there to document it, you don't need to send somebody there to document it. It's right there. I feel the same way, and I get where you're at, and I know that the theories are out there, and I appreciate the call. But I always feel the same way. It's like when people are like, oh, that school shooting was faked. There were crisis actors. It's like, well, if you think the government is evil enough to do something like that, like why wouldn't they just kill the kids? Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't see that video of and I've seen it a bunch of times. Everybody's sharing it. The woman sitting down, but why would they need to send somebody in to document anything? That doesn't make any sense to me.
I think you're going to have both sides, right? And that's where there's a lot of misinformation that's out there right now because there has been no true investigation. People just want answers. So they're going to go at every which way to say, oh, look at this, to try and, not only get a rise out of people, but for their own investigation, their spidey senses, right? But is it worth looking into? Yeah, but will it come from anything? I don't know. I think we have to guard ourselves because there's a lot of chaos and a lot of misinformation out there.
Yeah, and a lot of times some of this stuff is just to muddy the waters, right? Like, it really gives me hologram plane vibes when people are talking about 9/11, when I see that video of the woman. And I think, listen, definitely keep your ears up, look around, see what doesn't look right. And a lot of people isolated that clip and said, this doesn't look right, but I just lean back and go, okay, well, why would they need to send somebody in there to document it? That doesn't add up to me.
No, that doesn't. That part doesn't make sense.
Yeah, so that's where my head goes. I know everybody's different, and I know everybody is entitled to their opinion, but I looked at that video and I was like, yeah, that doesn't move the needle for me.
Right.
It just doesn't.
No, I agree.
Let's go to Rick, who's been holding for a minute. Thanks, Rick. You're up next on Super Talk.
Good morning, Chris. This is Mount Toughmore Rick calling back.
Mount Toughmore. So let me tell Sarah McCabe's with us, too. She's the wife of J6 political prisoner Ronald McCabe. Rick has an idea for Mount Toughmore that we should do in Tennessee, and it'll be Andrew Jackson, Teddy Roosevelt, Reagan, and Trump.
That's amazing.
Isn't that better? It'd be better than Rushmore, I
Somebody
think.
please finance that.
We need to crowdfund this, Rick.
I'm all for it. Listen, congratulations on your first anniversary.
Oh, thank you.
I just discovered your radio program, 2 or 3 weeks ago. And Chris, since doing so, I've not missed a day. I've actually not missed a minute of your show. And
appreciate you, man.
Do not foresee that changing. Listen, Thanks for sharing your journey and arriving at WTN. And I believe that both your family and all we listeners out here are all the better for it. And one more thing, man, that phone call from your little angels, if that does not tug at one's heart, you don't have one.
Oh, I know it, right? I had to go to break early.
I bet. All right, real quick, don't want to take up much time. Concerning the attempted assassination, I got to tell you, with all the information and misinformation swirling around, I had a long career in law enforcement. But I got to tell you, man.
Oh, hey,
I just really don't know what.
You got talking to the phone, Rick. You sound like you're in a bathroom.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is that better?
Yeah. Keep going.
Okay. Well, with all the misinformation swirling around the assassination attempt, I had a long career in law enforcement, and it's our nature is suspicious. But I got to tell you, man, I just don't know what the hell is included this time. It's puzzling.
Yeah.
But I will say, I will say this. I'm going to tell you a big red flag for me was how quick they tell us that it was a lone wolf. How in the world can you come to that conclusion in 24 hours or ever how long?
Well, and I think that is a huge red flag to me, too. You know, at the same time where they're saying he's a lone wolf, they're also saying that we can't get into his phone. And then you hear reports coming out that he's walking around for up to an hour beforehand on his phone. Then you hear that he has no social media footprint and all these red flags. I will say one person said it's a red flag to them that he never searched for bomb making instructions, and that one doesn't seem as red flaggy to me because he went to school for engineering. Like maybe he didn't need to Google it.
Right.
But there are definitely red flags.
I think a red flag is that they say he's a Republican voter, yet he did it in the primaries only, and he donated to Act Blue.
Yep.
So your actions speak louder than your words, and did they do it at the last minute to try and blame it on some, MAGA extremists that they are the ones that did it?
Yeah, and Pennsylvania has closed primaries. And we cover that extensively. Dems switching their registration so that way they could vote for Nikki Haley and do all that. So we know that that's a thing. A red flag for me is that his parents are both counselors and they didn't understand that there was a mental health issue going on. That seems like a red flag.
It's a huge red flag.
Huge red flag, right? Let's go to Lisa in Nashville. You're up next on Super Talk. Hey, Lisa.
Hey, Chris, love your show. I've been following Dan since I was a teenager in Los Angeles with the Dr. Laura show. He's brilliant. He was brilliant to bring you on. We have the smartest listeners in the country.
Amen.
So proud of everybody. And I just have a couple things to say. I always go back to Donald Trump. President Trump always knew the saying enemy within. And, he doesn't have a whole lot of people that he can trust. He never really has, unfortunately. Hopefully, when he gets elected, he can get all new people in and people that, he really can trust. And I think Vance is going to definitely help with that. However, I feel with the shooter, I feel that he registered Republican to satisfy his parents. For some reason, I just get the feeling that he did that. And also
his father, I believe, one of the reports I read, his father's a libertarian and his mother's a Democrat.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay. And also I feel that, there was so much hate the last couple of months. I think on your station, someone played maybe 60 or 70 inserts of CNN and NBSC and all that about we need 2 bullets in Donald Trump's head, calling for the assassination. And I think, that could have been part of this kid. Like he was going to be the one to take him out, be the hero.
Yep.
I really feel with social media and obviously his age, he's on it. is full of, let's put 2 bullets in Donald Trump's head. I mean, it's a fact. And
yeah, and then on the flip side, and I appreciate your call, Lisa. On the flip side, they're turning around and blaming the rhetoric on us. When you got Joe Biden saying he's a danger to the country, a threat to democracy, you have CNN, New York Times, all this mainstream media calling him literally Hitler.
They've been doing it for years, and now that they're shocked that somebody took action based on the stuff that they have said.
Not even that, but they're saying it's the Republicans that need to tone down the rhetoric.
We're the violent ones.
Honestly, was there any looting or riots after Donald Trump had an attempted assassination?
No, what you saw was America came together for the families of those that were injured. The gentleman that lost his life and the one that is critically injured that I believe you now said is over $5 million. Yep. And you look at what happened when Donald Trump was convicted in New York, the same thing. They raised $400 million that month. That is... You don't see us lashing out in the ways that they think we're going to.
When the left gets upset, they cost cities and taxpayers money. When the right gets upset, we're raising money.
I think because it all boils down to you have to hit these people in their wallets. That's what it boils down to. Anybody that is politician or anybody in general, they don't care until it affects their wallet.
Yep.
And that's when they realize, because we still do, as Americans, we have control over our money as of right now.
As of right now.
As of right now.
Things could change.
I did want to throw that in there.
Did you hear this clip? Rachel Maddow said that the motive of the shooter doesn't matter.
You look back at that whole string, going all the way back to the 1800s, is that the motive of the person committing the violence is never relevant.
Very true.
The act of violence itself ends politics, turns it over into crime, and makes the views and the motivations of the shooter irrelevant.
I wish they would have that same energy when, they perceive a shooter to be conservative.
I'm just in shock because as prosecutors, don't they have to prove the motive of somebody who committed the crime? And now
it turns out it's irrelevant.
All those people should be let out of jail. If your motive is irrelevant, then you should be released.
Well, and I think that she's covering because if this is a lone wolf actor, as we're being told, well, the motive would be the rhetoric that Donald Trump is Hitler.
Yes. It would come back on them for the narrative that they've pushed for so long.
Oh, and MSNBC is fully aware of the narrative they pushed. They pulled Morning Joe from the air on Monday because they were nervous about what they might say. Like, they understand that their rhetoric is a problem. The guys in the suits at the top know that their rhetoric is a problem. But they've pivoted, and now it's conservatives' fault.
And that's what the majority of people are listening to in America to get their news. Yep. It's astonishing.
Yeah, to be fair, I don't know if anybody's really listening to MSNBC.
I would hope not.
Tens and tens of people are being misinformed every day because of MSNBC.
Well, it goes back to most of the time the news, it's not based on facts anymore. It's just all opinions.
Yep.
All opinions.
Well, and it's about rage and fear. That's how the Democrat Party operates. We'll motivate you via anger and via rage. In fact, there's a rep, Jared Moskowitz. He's out of California, I believe. Let me double check. I want to make sure that I have his state right. He's out of Florida. So yeah, that's a big difference. So this Democrat is out of Florida, and he literally says the quiet part out loud on CNN. He says, unity doesn't equal votes, anger does.
Politics right now, right, it's about, defining your party in the most extreme way as a way to market and sell. Because let's be honest, anger sells. Right, there's a whole grifting empire. There's a whole anger empire. You see it on social media. You see it in podcasts. Unity and kumbaya doesn't really get people to vote, but anger does.
Anger does. He's saying the quiet part out loud. I think he's pointing the finger at conservatives, but as Democrats tend to do, they're projecting.
Yeah, they are. Unity. You saw, if anybody watched the RNC last night, you had Nikki Haley that took the stage, and I was messaging back and forth with somebody about it. You heard boos, but you heard cheering, and she literally said, Donald Trump and his team invited me here for unity.
I don't really like Nikki Haley.
I don't either. I said get her off the stage in my text, to be honest with you.
She begged. Nikki Haley begged to be on the stage at the RNC.
Yeah.
Nikki Haley is a grifter. Nikki Haley understood that if she wanted to have any political relevancy, she had to bend the knee and kiss the ring of Donald Trump, or nobody would even look at her.
Well, I think she showed her cards, too,
Yeah.
when she wouldn't bow out of the race.
When you come in third in Iowa, sky's the limit, right? That's what I've always heard.
It's just wild. Honestly, these people, they're riding the coattails of Donald Trump for their own gain. Because they know that he only has 4 more years. He only has 1 more term to serve. But then what's going to come after that? They want to base their career off of saying that they support him. And I do feel like there are a lot of people that are around Trump right now that are doing it for their own gain. It's not America first. It's not, I care about my constituents and what's best. It's what's best for me and my family, my future, my wallet.
We're watching the RNC last night. And my 10-year-old is with me, my daughter Kennedy, and she looks up and she goes, "Why is she here?" And it was great. It was a great learning opportunity. I got to explain to my daughter why rhinos are a bigger threat than Democrats. I said, listen, she's going to say all the right things, but she doesn't believe it. A Democrat at least will tell us that they hate us.
Yeah.
And I respect that much more.
Yeah.
Sarah McCabe is with us. Again, she runs a great organization called Stand in the Gap. Standinthegap.foundation is the website. How can people get involved, and what are you doing?
You can get involved. You can learn about the programs that we do on our website. We have a couple of upcoming events. Actually, we're going to have an event in Bedminster, New Jersey on August the 10th. We're going to honor the 20 defendants that sang on the Justice for All song, but we're also going to honor the sacrifices of all January 6 defendants. And it's really just to raise awareness, to let people know that that the FBI is still going after people, and that we still have people incarcerated from something that happened 3.5 years ago. When you look at the Summer of Love and you look at the inauguration, those people were let go, but they're continuing to hold our people. And so it's really just to raise awareness, to let people know that there's 33 Tennesseans that are affected by January 6th, 8 of them currently incarcerated. That's where it comes down to, is we need to get involved on the local level. We need to let these individuals know that their sacrifices aren't going to go in vain. Having my husband been away for the last almost 3 years, it's coming up on 3 years, it's a lot, and it's been an arduous journey, but I am grateful for the patriots that have come alongside of us and said, we're not going to let you walk this journey alone. And that's what we have to do for the other almost 1,500 defendants across America.
It's crazy to hear that number, 1,500.
The stats are really staggering, especially when you look at that 72% of them are veterans. So they served our country honorably, and this is how their country is taking care of them.
Well, you can make a difference. Standinthegap.foundation. You can help these J6ers get visits from their family or help with their court cases. Sarah McCabe's doing great work there, and we respect the hell out of you for doing it. Standinthegap.foundation. Sarah's going to join us again next week. We're going to do this every Wednesday. Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate you.
Thank you, and happy anniversary.
Oh, thank you. Where can we find you on social media?
Social media, my ex is Sarah McCabe _US, but you can learn more about our journey at sarahmccabe.us.
Perfect. sarahmccabe.us. It's 10:54 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It's 11 a.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. Still mostly sunny, 89 degrees. The full forecast is on the way. With former GOP rivals of Donald Trump taking the stage, Tuesday was clearly about mending fences at the Republican National Convention. ABC's Jim Ryan has reaction from the floor to the unity theme.
5 months ago, it would have been inconceivable to hear Nikki Haley say,
Donald Trump has my strong endorsement, period.
Florida Delegate Samantha Scott says the party eventually will also have to reach out to Democrats.
Not every single issue has to be divisive, so I think there has to be a spirit of unity and a spirit of working together.
Donald Trump's Thursday speech may reveal how far unity actually goes.
Here in Middle Tennessee, the death penalty is an option for the state, according to a Tuesday hearing for a Hendersonville mother charged with drowning her own 7-year-old daughter. Brandy Elliott, 33 years of age, was charged with first-degree murder following the incident. No bond was set at the hearing because it could be a capital case. However, the DA said they are not sure if they would seek the death penalty in this case. Elliott is not currently under the care of any mental health professional, even though she has been in the past. Elliott also does not have any other prior criminal court record. That is the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
11:05 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Thanks again to Sarah McCabe for coming through. She'll be here next Wednesday as well. You can find me on Twitter, True Social, Instagram. All of them are the same. Hit the follow button. I will follow back. It's at Chris Hand on air. All one word. That's on Twitter, Instagram, True Social. You can listen to the show on the iHeartRadio app, the TuneIn app. You can watch the show on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, all the things. We got all the things. Do what you got to do. Oh, and if you miss anything, podcasts. Apple and Spotify. Hit subscribe, rate it 5 stars. Can you do that for me? I got like 4 kids. I have so many kids that it would really benefit me if you did that. Even if you don't listen, just rate it 5 stars. The corporate overlords can see them doing something right. I appreciate it. 615-737-9986 if you want to join the show. I've had the phone lines have been jammed all day long. Jeff in Hendersonville has been waiting for a minute. Jeff, thanks for hanging on. What do you got?
A minute. Hey, but it was worth it, Chris. How you doing, man?
Good, man. What's up?
Oh, hey, listen, I'm still kind of in shock. I'm sure everybody else is. But what's just a couple quick points, and I'll let you roll. But thank God President Trump's okay.
Amen.
Man, this could be just imagine if it had gone the other way. And what's scary is, look, I'm speaking for myself, but I think I'm going to speak for a lot of people out there. We all kind of knew this was going to happen.
Yep. Tucker Carlson predicted it 5 months ago, and we've all, this is almost, we've been waiting for something like this to happen, almost in the same way we're waiting for a terrorist attack to happen because of the wide open southern border.
Yeah, we're not stupid. And listen, that's what progressives do. They progress. And this was a progression towards what happened. But thank God he's all right. As for the conspiracy theorists on the left, look, let them scream it from a rooftop. To me, look, the lid's off on your mental, your mental illness and your viciousness and your bile. So you know what? Lefties out there, you can choke on it. And, man, it's just, but enough of that. Look, thank God he's okay. But real quick, just a point on Sean O'Brien. My wife and I were sitting down to dinner. Hey, let's turn on the RNC. We had no idea who the speakers were. And I literally dropped my dinner on the carpet when Sean O'Brien, let's put that into perspective. That's like the NRA being asked to speak at the DNC, right?
Honestly, that's a great way to put it. That is a big moment.
Yeah. Listen, this is one of their pillars is labor. And look, at the end of the day, you've got the rush toward EVs, which are mainly manufactured in China. You have just the gutting of the energy industry, not to mention, aside from EVs, the auto industry, labor. And then you have, let's be conservative, 10 to 12 million illegals that have been allowed to flood over the border. Guess what? That's not going to take your jobs. Union workers they're going to attempt to. So I think, maybe Sean was just using it as a platform, as a negotiating tactic. He's doing his job, and it's a shot across the bow to Democrats. But at the end of the day, Democrats aren't Democrats anymore. They're progressives. And to see organized labor truly extend an olive branch, now they're going to downplay it as they already have. I heard the clip you played earlier. Guys, this is massive.
Yep.
Now, whether anything comes of it or not, you can't tell me that a lot of these union workers aren't looking at everything around them and going, oh, wait a minute. So I just wanted to raise that point. But God bless President Trump. Look, everybody get involved, poll watch, sign up to work the polls, talk to your neighbors.
Yep.
There was a great point last night that Laura Trump made was, let's make it too big to rig. And, hey, thanks for your time. I appreciate you. Have a good day, everybody.
Yeah, hey, appreciate you, Jeff. I think Jeff's absolutely right. Now is not the time to sit on our hands. Now's the time to put the foot on the gas. Like it's a short time till November. It's a long time till November, and we can't just chalk it up and say we've won. I've heard some people say it. I've thought it myself. I go back and forth where I feel like this election is going to be a slam dunk, but then I also think to myself, don't take it for granted. Don't take it for granted. Like we got to keep working. Now is not the time to sit on our hands. Let's go to Patricia in White House. You're up next on Super Talk. Hey, Pat.
Hey, Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I just wanted to make a couple quick statements real quick. One is, why is nobody talking about the biggest red flag of all, which is Mr. Jonathan Winters, who is the sharpshooter who took out that piece of crap who tried to kill our former president. Hopefully, like you said, don't sit on our hands. Next president, Mr. Trump. He was told to stand down for 3 minutes and then was told then he lost his job.
Okay, so
why is nobody discussing that?
I've seen that circulating, but I've only seen it circulating in the form of a 4chan post. I don't know if you're familiar with 4chan. It's an anonymous message board on the internet. I've not seen any video from this gentleman stating this. And in the post that's circulating around online, he said that he saw the shooter looking through a scope, which is inaccurate because the shooter had iron sights.
Yeah. Well, I've just seen what I saw on.
But have you heard it? Have you heard it directly from that sniper's mouth?
If you go to his website or his Facebook page, it's a statement from him that he was pulled down for 5 hours and spoke to the FBI, and then lost his job, and was told to shut up after that.
What's his Facebook page?
Just type in his name is what I did.
Okay. How do you?
I mean, I don't want to give anybody's. I'm driving 80 down the freeway right now. I can't look.
Okay, cool. No, I'll look it up. I have not seen it directly from him. The only way I've seen it was in the form of what is a 4chan post, which is like an anonymous post that you do on 4chan, and that doesn't hold any weight with me, especially when they got the details wrong. I'll go check out his Facebook page.
Yeah, and then just one more real quick thing I want to say. I'll let you go. That President Trump did get shot in the head. He did lose his shoes, and he still walked off the stage better than Biden has ever walked.
Honestly,
just last little note.
Honestly, appreciate you, Pat. Thanks so much.
Honestly, bye.
All right, let's go to Anthony in the borough. You're up next on Super Talk. What's up, Anthony?
What's going on, fellow Chris? Hey, I gotta. You and I are both kind of educated, as well as a lot of the people everybody in the audience, but we don't really go down the rabbit hole of the conspiracy theory. But things happen, and it's just kind of like, that's kind of interesting, right? Like the conversation you just had about the Facebook guy. It's like, okay, I'll look into it, but I'm not going to dig down. My point is this. It's not unheard of for the FBI to maybe kind of seek out some easily influenced people. We know about the whole FBI and the Gretchen Whitmer thing with those kind of goofballs that went down that, did that thing. My question is this. The one thing that stands out most obvious that I cannot understand is the ladder. The ladder. How did the ladder get there? If it was a set beforehand, because I can't imagine everybody that was around there, nobody sees this kid walking around with a 10-foot ladder and a gun sack. Because if we were there, and probably 99% of the people that were out there, if we saw a guy walking around with that, we're like, we need to go confront this dude.
I've heard conflicting reports on if he brought his own ladder or if he was climbing on an HVAC unit. I think the official story right now is that he got up on the roof via an HVAC unit.
No, I thought that there was pictures of a ladder on the backside of the building.
I saw that as well. I can't confirm the source of those pictures. Was that a Google image? Was it a Google satellite view? You know what I mean? So without knowing the actual origin, is that an old photo? Is that a new photo? Was that taken on Saturday? I have no idea. I've seen the photo that you're talking about, but all of the major reporting that I'm hearing is that he climbed on an HVAC unit and got onto the roof.
Well, what's interesting is if he did climb up on the HVAC and then the police guy that went up, wasn't he on top of somebody else, on another guy's shoulders to get up?
Yep.
Why wouldn't he use the same HVAC unit then?
Questions, man. We all have these questions.
Right?
Yeah. But the more we look into this, the more questions we have, right?
And that's the thing and it's not conspiracy like the left tries to. It's just there's some questions that are like, all right, I think we need to look at it. But the thing is, like the ladder itself. But then we all know the FBI manipulated those goofballs with the Whitmer thing.
Yep.
Is it not far-fetched with the 20-year-old loner kid? Nothing like that is far-fetched.
I don't think it's far-fetched. I mean, nothing is close to ever being confirmed, right? Oh, no, I got a text here, 1313. Fox News reported the police removed a ladder from the scene. I mean, the ladder might be how he got up there. It's wild. It is wild. Another texter saying cell phone video shows ladder and him on roof at the same time. All right, I was incorrect about the ladder. But yeah, there's so much happening. Brian Wilson said it the other day. Me and him were talking. He said we're drinking water through a fire hose right now.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
I mean, there's lots to look into, but it's like, do you trust the people that are looking into it currently?
No, not at all. And here's the other thing too is I don't want to blame anybody that was actually there. The Secret Service, nothing. It's like we all know that there's kind of a wizard, behind the curtain, and it could be one of the. Well, I don't even want to go down that road, but the people that were there, the agents and whatnot, I don't think we can blame any of them, right? I mean, they sacrificed, and the guy apparently had the scope. I don't know, but. Can't blame those people on the ground. There's just enough, like you said, to be like, there's something deeper into it. And unfortunately, I mean, just like the FBI with women, nobody was called out on that. And it was proven. We don't know how many agents were, manipulating those guys, but it was proven. Am I wrong?
When it comes to the FBI Gretchen Whitmer plot?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I appreciate the call, Anthony, and I'm getting a bunch of texts in. I missed this one. Brian did say yesterday that the shooter bought a 5-foot ladder at Home Depot. He had the receipt in his pocket and used that ladder to put the ladder on top of the AC unit to get onto the roof. It's wild. The entire thing is wild. Insane. And then in the meantime, we get new reports that there was an Iranian assassination plot against Donald Trump, and that he was supposed to have heightened security because of this attempted or this likely Iranian assassination attempt. That's what Fox News was reporting yesterday.
All right, a Fox News alert now. Some breaking news coming out. We've discovered something that makes the lack of security and the security lapses at the Donald Trump event in Butler, Pennsylvania, all the more glaring and literally impossible to understand. David Spunt, our Justice Department correspondent, has got the latest information. David?
Well, John, it's incredibly puzzling. We are learning right now through 2 federal law enforcement sources that in recent weeks there was a credible threat to former President Donald Trump from the Iranian regime. Now, I want to be clear that this is unrelated at this point to the alleged shooter, Thomas Crooks, the 20-year-old in Pennsylvania who attempted to assassinate the former president on Saturday night.
Yeah, it's unrelated, they're saying, but the timing is so wild. So Trump was supposed to have heightened security because of a credible threat. Yet they sent him to a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania with supplemental security. Make this make sense. Can anybody make this make sense? Because I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around the Iranian hit and the explanation that they're giving.
But we are told via 2 sources that DHS and Secret Service and others in the law enforcement and intelligence community recently, through a human source, through one very good human source, got some intel on an attempted plot to assassinate former President Trump, increased his Secret Service presence. That's why you say it's all the more glaring and all the more puzzling in recent weeks. And John, we also know that DHS has been concerned and has expressed that concern to former President Trump's team about holding outdoor rallies. He likes to hold outdoor rallies, events, sometimes pop-up events. He'll meet with people. He's out and about very frequently. And that's been something. And when I say DHS because DHS oversees the United States Secret Service. We know that, when he was president, that he received a lot of threats from Iran because of the assassination of the General Qasem Soleimani in January of 2020. And that's really continued since he's left office.
Yeah, I mean, do I think that the Iranians could have had an assassination plot against President Trump? Absolutely. Absolutely. Who would you rather have being president if you were, the leaders of Iran, Trump or Joe Biden? It makes sense. The timing of it is just wild. And it does feel like they're trying to deflect from the real story on the ground, which is the massive security failure. But they're calling the Iranian threat particularly credible.
But this is a particular credible threat, according to two sources we spoke to today within the last 45 minutes or so, that say something made them want to increase the Secret Service presence to the former president because of this threat.
But they didn't. All this Iranian threat does is actually bring up even more questions about the security failure that we saw on Saturday in Butler, Pennsylvania. It doesn't make anybody feel better. It actually makes me even more worried. So you're telling me that there was a particularly credible threat and you sent the backup squad with people who are supposed to guard him from bullets that are about a foot shorter than him. Okay. That's the official story. I'll get to more of your calls on the way. Hang out with us. Amy, Higgins, Jim, Jimmy, Robert. We'll get to you guys next. It's 11:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand for my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. It is hot out there, and if your AC is not working the way it should be, well, you're feeling it, aren't you? And the heat's not going anywhere. Mason's nodding his head because he's been having AC issues. He's feeling it. Listen, if your AC isn't working at maximum peak efficiency, you got to do it one way and one way only. That's the Busy Bee way. Get your system serviced. They'll come out to your home, make sure it's working in tip-top shape, and maybe it's not just not working at maximum efficiency. Maybe it's not working at all. Well, if that's the case, call Busy Bee because you're not going to find a better value on replacement systems. Busy Bee offers up to 12 months with no payment, no interest, with approved credit, and it'll pay in so many ways. To sign up to become a Beehive Club member during the month of July, it's buy one, get one free for you and a neighbor. Anybody in your neighborhood, you can give them a Beehive Club membership when you buy yours. It's only $99. You get so much value. 3 annual tune-ups, 1 for your heating, 1 for your cooling, 1 for your plumbing, 10% discount on all repairs, priority front-of-the-line service, a $100 annual accrued replacement credit with a maximum of $1,000, no overtime or holiday fees, and exclusive Beehive member promotions. And right now, all July long, you're running out of time, buy one, get one free. So either give one to a neighbor because you're being kind, or find a neighbor and say, let's go in on it halfway. $50? Are you kidding me? Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. They're your Rude Pro partner for satisfaction guaranteed. Call Busy Bee, 615-775-7833. That's 615-775-7833. Online at busybeehvac.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Joe Biden reportedly looking to make big changes to the Supreme Court. Also, alleged neo-Nazis accused of intimidating Nashville synagogue members and a Middle Tennessee school may be installing state-of-the-art technology to help respond to school shootings. We'll have those stories at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Jay. Sorry, I got distracted talking to Paul Winkler in the hallway. I always do that.
I mean, he's a cool guy. It makes sense.
So, 11:26 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. A bunch of people waiting on the line to add their 2 cents, join the conversation, which I love. Let's start with who's been on hold the longest. I'm having trouble seeing. Is it?
It's Jimmy on line 5.
Jimmy. All right, Jimmy in the Borough. You're up next on Super Talk. What's up, Jimmy? Thanks for holding, man.
Hey, Chris. Happy anniversary.
Oh, thank you, sir.
I want to talk about Secret Service. They started in Treasury, wonderful Treasury Department with the IRS. Then they bumped them over to Homeland, I think after 9/11, maybe in 2003 or something like that. Maybe this is an opportunity, I'm hoping, if and when Trump gets in and a wonderful Congress and maybe even the Senate, if they could look at a different home for Secret Service. It's clearly a conflict of interest. And plus the DEI thing, and they're going from 5%, trying shooting for 30%. It's a complete mess, and I'm hoping they reevaluate where the Secret Service belongs so it can do its neutral job for both parties. That's all I have.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the call. And I actually, I have a couple of Secret Service sources, if you will. Nothing like, I'm not getting crazy information or like anything like groundbreaking, but I do talk to people and they talk about staffing issues and turnover. And it's like, it sounds a lot like any other job, except for the fact that it's a lot harder to find employees for Secret Service because you need a squeaky clean background check. You need some of the best training in the world. It's a hard job to keep staffed. But it's interesting. Let's go to Jim in Mount Juliet. You're next on Super Talk. What's up, Jim?
Good morning, Chris. How are you?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm great. I had one thing I called about, and something else popped up while you were talking to another gentleman. With respect to the Secret Service agents and the distribution of law enforcement there. Dan Bongino had a story this morning. I didn't get to listen to your early show. You may have already covered it. That supposedly that roof where Crooks was designated as a law enforcement post, and whoever was supposed to be there didn't show up.
Yep, I actually have that audio right here, Jim. Thanks for the call. This is Dan Bongino. He's sitting there with Tucker Carlson and Donald Trump Jr., and he says that, that roof was supposed to be manned.
So I was just showing Tucker some material from an unimpeachable source, let's just say, on the matter. That post, according to my source, that roof was supposed to be a police post. It was supposed to be someone there. They're now making up excuses, saying the pitch of the roof. My source says to me no one knows why the post didn't show up. But so that's a nonsense story they're putting out in the media. And I was also told that the Secret Service director has been given instructions from the administration and the DHS secretary. If you want to keep your job, you'll keep your mouth shut about this. They're not putting that out there, but if you get those site post logs and those police instructions and there was a post on there and they didn't show up and no one checked, someone could have got your dad killed within millimeters.
Yeah, he's not wrong. I will say this, it costs around $100,000 to train a Secret Service agent. We're going to need to up the funding so that way they can deal with these sloped roofs. Because I don't know if you've noticed this, sloped roofs, they're all over the place. It's 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It is 11:30. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. Sunshine and 89 degrees. A complete forecast is on the way. Sources telling ABC News that President Biden is weighing some sweeping changes to the Supreme Court, One proposal would be to enact term limits and stricter ethics codes for the justices who sit on the court. The president also reportedly weighing whether a constitutional amendment should be proposed that would limit broad immunity for presidents and other office holders. Back here in Nashville, Channel 4 reporting that about a dozen members of the neo-Nazi group Goyim Defense League showed up in front of the West End Synagogue yesterday afternoon. The synagogue said the group demonstrated for about 15 minutes before moving toward downtown Nashville. In an email, the synagogue said the group distributed hateful literature in neighborhoods where their congregants live. And finally, in Middle Tennessee, a gunshot sensor could soon be installed at one Rutherford County school. Rutherford County School Board is scheduled to take a vote tonight about whether or not to install a gunshot sensor at Central Magnet High School. The devices detect sounds that could potentially be gunshots and tell the police approximately where that sound or shot may have come from, allowing for quicker responses to possible instances of gun violence. That is the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Thank you, Jay. It's Chris Hand here for my friends at United Structural Systems. If you're having foundation issues in your home, you probably want to look away and pretend it's not happening. But that's not the right thing to do. The right thing to do is call USS. Maybe you don't really even know how to spot the warning signs. Well, let me tell you a couple. If you're seeing cracks in your bricks around your foundation, your dirt pulling back, those could all be foundation issues. And if you're seeing that, the best thing to do is tackle it head on. Don't wait for the problem to get bigger. Call USS today. They've been doing this work in Middle Tennessee since 1994. They have 25,000 satisfied customers to back them up, and they can do this work for you, and they won't leave until the job is done and you are satisfied. Again, this could be something small that's not really a big fix, but they'll handle it for you, or this could be something that's really, really big and needs to be fixed immediately. Either way, you can trust the guys at USS to give you accurate and truthful information. They don't work on sales quotas. They just work on doing the right thing. And they've been doing it for a long time. Again, 25,000 satisfied customers. This isn't a franchise. They're going to make a custom solution to meet your needs. You won't pay until the work is done and you are satisfied. And when they do leave, they leave you with a lifetime warranty. And then if you do leave your home, the warranty stays. That's how confident they are at USS about getting the job done the right way for you. 615-488-7855. That's 615-488-7855. Call USS today or hit the website USSTN.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionality, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Biden's core problem is weakness. What Trump displayed on Saturday was strength of the most basic kind that is absolutely impossible to fake. You can think whatever you want about Trump or whatever you've heard about Trump. You watch that tape, the guy is shot in the face and is bleeding and forces the Secret Service to allow him to stand up and faces the crowd. All men, when they're boys, tell themselves, well, something happened, I would jump right in and, you know what I mean? Like, I'd stop the shooter. But you don't know that, actually, because you're not faced with it. I mean, very few people are tested in the way Trump was tested on Saturday, and not only did he pass, he got the highest score ever recorded. Again, it's not fakeable. That's just real. It's undeniably real. No one staged that. Anyone who looks at that video, I think, comes away thinking that person has to lead the country.
11:37 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. You can find me on Twitter, True Social, Instagram, at Chris Hand on Air. Hit the follow button. I will follow back. We've been going through everything, man. We're drinking water out of a fire hose. The Iranians had a particularly credible threat against Trump. I think it's a particular coincidence that this came out now. Interesting. We're learning more and more about how big of a security failure this was. Massive. Walking around with a rangefinder? Honestly. A rangefinder. For 3 hours, he was able to walk around there after being spotted by Secret Service, according to the Daily Mail. 3 hours. And they didn't stop him. We're also hearing that the parents of the would-be assassin, Thomas Matthew Crooks, called the cops to say he was missing before the shooting. That's a new bombshell report from the Daily Mail. It follows the other stunning development that he was at the former president's rally 3 hours before opening fire and sparked suspicions of the Secret Service because he was carrying a rangefinder to map out shots. So apparently, Crooks' parents called law enforcement in Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, to say they were concerned about his son's whereabouts. They didn't know where he was. He had called into work, said he would be back in a day or so, and that's all we knew. He was back and forth a few times. They took a picture of him. Apparently, the picture that's been circulating online of him, where you kind of see his the back of his head, side profile, and he looks like he's leaning. Apparently, that was the picture taken by Secret Service, according to some reports. And we're hearing also that Homeland Security is interfering in the House's assassination investigation. Interesting. This is according to Breitbart. We were scheduled for, this is, hold on, who's saying this? This is Cloud, a member of the House Oversight Committee, said we were scheduled for a first briefing today just on the facts of the case, what's going on, what they know, and DHS has stepped in between the communications now of the Secret Service and the Oversight Committee and are now trying to control the communication between the two committees. Why would you need to control the conversation between the two committees if you're focused on transparency and truth? I don't know. A lot of red flags. A lot of questions. They spotted Crooks. They had him. They thought he was suspicious for hours. They let him get on that roof. I'm also hearing that the Butler Police, a source close to the Butler Township Police Department, says that officers on the ground were actually surprised they were assigned partial responsibility for the outside, for the area outside the Trump rally, especially with tall buildings. They expected a department of their size would be handling traffic, not security. This is from a source close to the Butler Township, a source inside the Butler Township Police Department. Sources say local officers were also surprised the Secret Service perimeter was not bigger. Butler, to just put it into perspective, Butler Township Police, it's a small department. Do you know how many full-time patrol officers they have? 12. I'll say it again. Butler Township Police has 12 full-time patrol officers. So they were shocked. They were shocked that they were going to help secure the area outside the Trump rally perimeter. They thought they were going to be doing traffic. It just raises more questions. It just raises more questions. Where was the planning? I played that clip from Dan Bongino earlier. Somebody was supposed to be on that roof, but apparently they just didn't show up that day. They just didn't show up. That's what Dan Bongino's sources are telling him. So many question marks. Amy in the borough, you're next on Super Talk. How are you, Amy?
Hey, Chris. Good to talk to you again. Yeah, it's really sad about Miss Betty at church. That really kind of broke our hearts on a side note. But
yeah, in case anybody missed it, I mentioned earlier on the show, we had Pastor Alan Jackson from World Outreach Church in Murfreesboro on Monday to kind of pray over everything that's happening. I felt like that was the right move. And now I was just asking everybody to put Pastor Alan in your prayers because his mother, Miss Betty Jackson, has passed away. So, yeah, very sad news.
she was definitely a sweet little light every time we were there. But anyway, back to the subject at hand. Either incompetence or intentionality was what has had to have occurred. And I really am leaning towards the latter. Secondly, my main thought was when I first got word that that this had happened, I was dealing with a family emergency. But when we got the news turned on, we started hearing within hours, and I don't know, 12 hours at least, probably it went by, that they had DNA on this guy, and it confirmed his identity by DNA. Does anybody else think that's a little sketchy? I mean...
Yeah, I mean, it seemed quick. It seemed quick, but if he's from that area, maybe they contacted the local hospital and did something like that. You know, everybody has their DNA on file if they were born there.
True, but where did they take the DNA to be confirmed? Because you don't run those in a standard hospital lab. Those have to be ran at a criminal forensics unit or something like that. They are not ran at the local ER. So it was a big red flag for me, for sure, that they were able to get DNA confirmation. Just doesn't happen. And I'm sure some of the law enforcement people who help participate with the show would be able to give more information on that. But if you're looking at someone who has, we found a body, 2 weeks is a quick turnaround, not hours. It just doesn't happen. And I don't care what resources you have. They had to get that to Quantico or somewhere to do a DNA test, and something's just not right.
No, I mean, I think you can look at this whole situation and come to the conclusion something's not right. It doesn't pass the smell test at all.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, no, it's wild, and we're all just kind of, like I said, drinking through a fire hose as we're trying to sift through the misinformation versus the real information. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just sick of being of this political culture, whomever is controlling the puppets, feeding us garbage.
Yeah.
I'm just sick of it. And if you've got half a brain, you cannot be missing this stuff. You just simply can't miss it.
No, and I had a caller earlier. He's like, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm a pattern recognition. You know.
No doubt.
The thing is, and I appreciate your call, Amy, and thank you for calling. The thing is that all of this distrust, all of this questioning is direct result of these institutions failing us time and time again. How we don't trust these people, that's on them. That's on them. We've lost trust in the FBI and the DOJ and Homeland Security long before this event happened. But don't worry, the FBI, the DOJ, they're investigating it. Homeland Security, they'll figure this out. We lost trust in these institutions a long time ago. I think that's one of the reasons why there's so many questions. Even if they came out and their report was 100% spot on, accurate, fair, truthful, nailed it. Like if they came out with a slam dunk report and gave us all the information we needed, there's still going to be questions because these institutions have ruined their trust with the American people. And you have millions upon millions of Americans right now looking left and looking right and going, I don't see how this could have happened. You have trained specialists. Dan Bongino spent years in the Secret Service saying there's no way this could have happened. You have Rep. Corey Mills, congressman out of Florida, former Army sniper, saying there's absolutely no way this could have happened, demanding real investigations. And I think we all need to be demanding real investigations, not conspiracy theory. We're not going full conspiracy like the left is and calling the entire scenario fake, which I don't know if you've done anything on lefty Twitter lately, but that's what they're saying on the lefty Twitter. The entire shooting was fake. They've gone full Alex Jones, crisis actors. But on our side, we're just saying, well, who is responsible for securing that roof? Who did the walkthrough? Who let him walk around for 3 hours with a rangefinder? Which Secret Service officer took a picture of him and let him walk away? How did he get up on the roof without anyone noticing? How come 2 minutes went by with individuals screaming at police, there's a guy on the roof with a gun, and nobody pulled the president off stage? I think these are valid questions that need to be answered, and yet we haven't gotten the answers yet. And that just leads people down the road of not trusting these organizations, these institutions. It just brings up more questions. I think at a certain point, we're going to find answers that we all want, but who knows when, right? I'm sure there were people after the JFK assassination said, hey, give it some time. We'll have answers. What are we? How many years has it been? Yeah, exactly. It's 11:49 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Hello.
What's up?
Oh, hi.
It's 11:56 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Matt Murphy comes in and he feels the need to defend Nikki Haley's honor.
That's not what I said.
He came in here like a white knight, like he's doing the white knight thing for Nikki Haley.
I'm going to pick a fight.
He said, how dare you besmirch Nikki Haley's honor?
I said, she's poor woman comes crawling back, trying to salvage whatever future.
No squares in the circle.
And I said, well, you're letting J.D. Vance back in.
And what did I say?
Yeah, fair point. I think that's what you said.
I do. Listen, J.D. Vance's story is different than Nikki Haley's.
Well, J.D. Vance wasn't calling Donald Trump Hitler like 4 months ago.
No, and he owned it. And he's like, yeah, I was never Trumper. And then I saw what happened with Trump.
It's what I said yesterday, and I think you've said as much, too. You know, the liberals are going to try to play that. Oh, J.D. said this in 2016, and J.D. said that in 2016. And, yeah, if Donald Trump's policies, if what he does in office can take someone that had that, someone who's willing to keep their eyes open, and you have to be willing to keep your eyes open, if you take that person and turn them into a Trump guy, that's something.
That's a win.
That's an incredible win.
I just like this guy's 39. He's got 2 kids. He's got skin in the game for the future of this country. Even Trump, like I like the man. I like him a lot. Do you think he knows how to use TikTok on his own? Do you think he knows how to use Instagram? I have a hard time with the age of
he
a lot of
He knew how to use the Twitter machine.
Fair enough. But I have a hard time with a lot of the politicians and their age. trying to govern people like you and I when it's like you don't understand what real life is like now.
They don't bear any responsibility for what happens 20 years from now, right?
Exactly.
And they don't, and you're right. And I talked about this, about something unrelated the other day that, it was these entertainment figures like George Clooney who have zero. I mean, they come in, they swoop in, they want to raise money for these Democrats because it makes them feel good for themselves. It makes them feel good that they are, quote unquote, doing something for the little guy because they have this fantastical perception about what a Democrat is. Instead of living in the real world, we have to live in the real world consequences of what Democrats do. And when we tell them, hey, this is what those policies are doing to real people, we're just the little people. We don't matter. And then they drive through their gates. The gates close. The security guards are there, and they go to their palatial mansions on a hill.
There's no tent cities in the gated communities.
No tent cities in the gated communities. Hey, did you hear me give you credit yesterday?
No.
I could have stolen credit, and I gave it right back to Chris Hand. I did. Wow. Because a caller called in.
It's my 1 year anniversary.
Is this your anniversary?
It took 1 year, and Murphy's giving me credit.
Hey, Bell.
What did I do?
Bell, it's his 1 year anniversary. I owe you $100. Dang it.
What did you give me credit
money
for?
Too. He's not joking. We made a bet, and he was like, "He's going to last 6 months."
6 months. Got $100 on you. No. A caller called in, and you know how it goes. I mean, man is in the morning. Chris Hand, Matt Murphy, Brian Wilson. So, you all dayers, we love you. Thank you for listening all day. God bless you. But she was like, "You were the first on JD Vance. You were the first on JD Vance." I said, "I was not the first on JD Vance. Chris Hand was the first on JD Vance. I was on Tim Scott for a while. I like JD.
And can I also say, my other favorite pick was Sarah Huckabee Sanders. And did she not deliver a home run of a speech last night?
Last night was incredible.
I would vote for her for president.
Absolutely incredible.
I would.
I mean, the momentum, the incredible, I loved the coming together. I didn't even mind. Well, I turned her off, actually. I'll tell you that. I almost lied to the audience. Nick, I got through about 3 minutes of Nick, so I got to go get a
It was surging.
drink.
It was surging.
Got to go to a drink.
Matt Murphy's up next. Hang out with us. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.